What if I told you that with just $20 an hour, you could save $10,000 in a year? Sounds impossible, right? Let me prove to you how it's not. Here's the deal. Emergencies don't wait until you're ready. The car breaks down, medical bills hit, or rent spikes. But what if I told you that by making small changes to your daily habits, like what you buy for lunch or how you automate savings, you can build a safety net faster than you ever thought possible? You don't need to earn six figures or cut out every fun expense. You just need the right strategy. And here's the kicker. Most people think saving on a low income is about sacrifice. It's not. It's about making your money work smarter for you. In this video, I'm going to share practical, no fluff steps that actually work for real people with real budgets. By the end, you'll have a game plan to start saving today, even if you're living paycheck to paycheck. Whether you're a recent grad, just starting out in your career, or trying to get a handle on your finances, these tips are for you. And trust me, you won't just learn how to save, you'll build a skill set that can transform your financial future. So let's dive into the strategies that will make that $10,000 goal your reality. Imagine this. You've just looked at your bank account and you're thinking, how on earth am I supposed to save $10,000 on $20 an hour? It feels impossible, right? The goal feels way too big, especially if you're just starting out or juggling bills, rent, and life. But here's the truth. Saving that kind of money isn't about having a huge income. It's about strategy, consistency, and breaking it down into bite-sized chunks. Stick with me, and I'll show you how. If you're sitting there thinking, this sounds great, but I don't even know where to start, you're not alone. Most people feel overwhelmed by big savings goals. But what if I told you that hitting that $10 target could be easier than you think if you break it into small, manageable pieces? So how do we go from how the heck do I save $10,000 to, hey, I'm actually getting there? Here's the thing. When you look at $10,000, it feels like a mountain. But what if we break it down? What if I told you that just by saving about $28 a day, you could hit that target in a year? Still sounds like a stretch, right? But wait, let's get even smaller. What if I told you that saving $5 a day could get you on the right track? And I'm not talking about some massive sacrifice either. It's the little things that add up. I know. You're probably thinking, what can $5 really do? Trust me, it's more than you think. But here's the catch. Those $5 aren't going to magically appear in your bank account. You have to be strategic about it, and that's where most people get stuck. They're unsure where to start or feel like the sacrifices are too big. The trick is to make it easy on yourself. So how do we make sure we actually stick to this? Here's the secret. Once you start saving just $5 a day, you've unlocked a powerful habit. That's $150 a month. And if you keep it up, you could save $1,800 in just a year. And you're not stuck with just $5. What if you're able to save a little more? The more you make this a habit, the easier it becomes to add to your savings without feeling deprived. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Well, $150 a month is nice, but that's not going to hit $10,000 anytime soon. Well, don't worry. I'll show you how automating these small deposits can turn into something bigger without needing to constantly think about it. Just imagine how much more you could save with some smart tweaks in your spending and a couple of extra income boosts. We've broken down the mountain into small, manageable steps. But here's the kicker. Those steps can get even smaller. So stick with me, because next we're going to talk about how to set up your savings so you don't have to think about it at all. Trust me, this is where it gets even easier. So now that we know how to break down those big savings goals into bite-sized steps, how can we make sure we stay consistent? Well, automation is the key, and I'm going to show you exactly how to make your savings work for you. All right, let's say you've made the decision to save and you're even starting to get the hang of it. Saving $5 a day, cutting back on little expenses. But here's the thing, life happens. Emergencies pop up, you forget about that $5 because you spent it on a snack, and suddenly you're back to square one. Sound familiar? But what if I told you there's a way to make sure that money gets saved? Automatically, no thinking required. Imagine if you didn't have to think about whether or not you were saving today. What if it just happened? Let's dive into how we can make that happen. And trust me, it's easier than you think. Here's the problem. willpower alone won't cut it. You can set a goal to save every day, but life always finds a way to distract you. Maybe you forgot to transfer that $5, or you saw something cool at the store, or you just didn't feel like logging into your bank app to move the money over. So, what's the solution? The key is automation. But automation can be a little scary, right? The idea of setting something up and trusting that it's happening without checking on it can feel risky. What if you set it up wrong? What if you don't notice an error and suddenly you're broke before payday? And how do you even track all this? After all, you've got bills, expenses, a million things going on. It's easy to lose track. So, how do we make sure we're saving regularly without stressing out about it? Here's the good news: automation is your friend. You've heard the saying, pay yourself first, right? Well, here's how you do it. Most banks and apps allow you to set up automatic transfers so that $5 a day, it's moved directly from your checking account to your savings as soon as your paycheck drops. You don't even have to think about it. No more forgetting, no more excuses. There are apps like Mint, YNAB, or even just your bank's built-in tools that can automate the process. You can even schedule larger amounts like $150 a month or whatever fits your savings goals. And the best part, you don't have to do a thing after it's set up. It happens without you lifting a finger. Now, you might be wondering, how do I keep track of all this? How do I know if my automation is actually working? That's where tools like Mint come in, letting you track your progress in real time. You'll get a clear view of how your savings are growing without having to guess or crunch numbers yourself. It's like having a personal finance assistant that works 24/7 for you. So now you're saving automatically. But what happens when life throws you a curveball? Or what if you want to boost your savings even more? Well, the next step is to optimize your spending, and I'll show you exactly how to do that in a way that won't leave you feeling deprived. You won't want to miss this. Trust me. Before we dive into cutting back on spending, let's talk about one more way to supercharge your savings without even changing your lifestyle. Stay tuned. I've got something that'll help you save more while still enjoying life. Let's be real, saving money often feels like a tug of war between your goals and your lifestyle. You've automated your savings, that's a huge win. But now you're looking at your budget and wondering, where am I supposed to find extra money to save without giving up everything I enjoy? That's a real concern. No one wants to feel like they're just working to save with zero fun in the mix. Here's why this matters. Most people think saving requires extreme sacrifice. No lattes, no dinners out, no streaming subscriptions. But here's the truth. You don't have to give up everything. You just need to focus on cutting hidden expenses, the kind you don't even realize are draining your bank account. Now let's talk about those hidden expenses. Maybe it's a subscription you forgot about, or that $20 gym membership you're barely using. Or it could be those small daily costs that seem harmless but add up fast, like that $3.50 snack from the vending machine every afternoon. The problem is these expenses don't feel big when you're spending them. But when you look back over a month, suddenly they're eating into your savings potential. And that's the challenge. How do you find these sneaky costs and cut them without feeling like you're missing out? Here's the trick: conduct a money audit. Sit down and look at your last 3 months of transactions. Highlight anything you're not using or could live without. That's step one. Step two, start replacing high cost habits with low cost or free alternatives. Instead of buying lunch out every day, try meal prepping. Instead of driving solo to work, look into carpooling or public transit. And here's a big one: call your providers. Internet, phone, insurance. You'd be surprised how often you can negotiate a better rate with a quick phone call. It's not about giving up everything, it's about being intentional. For example, if you love your streaming subscriptions, keep them, but maybe pause that second gym membership until you're actually using it. These small changes can free up $100, $200, or even more each month. And guess what? That money can go straight into your savings. Now, here's where it gets exciting. Cutting hidden expenses is just the start. What if I told you there's a way to actually increase your income, even if you're working full time? It's easier than you think, and it can make a huge difference in reaching your savings goal faster. Let's dive into that next. Let's talk about leveling up your savings game. You've cut the hidden expenses, automated your savings, and things are starting to feel manageable. But what if you want to hit your goals faster without waiting months or years? That's where boosting your income comes into play. And trust me, it's not as intimidating as it sounds. Think about this. What if you could add an extra $200, $500, or even $1,000 a month to your income without drastically changing your lifestyle? Imagine how much quicker you'd reach that 10K goal. The problem is, most people don't even consider it because they assume earning extra means taking on a second job or working exhausting hours. But there's another way. Here's the challenge. Finding something that fits into your current schedule, doesn't feel overwhelming, and actually makes a difference. There are tons of side gigs out there, but how do you pick the one that's worth your time? And how do you make sure it doesn't burn you out before you even see the payoff? The key is to focus on skills or resources you already have. Can you tutor, babysit, freelance, or sell something you're not using? Websites like Upwork, TaskRabbit, or Facebook Marketplace are gold mines for turning your time or unused items into cash. And if you're worried about time, think small. Dedicate just a few hours a week. Even a $50 gig here and there adds up fast. For example, let's say you spend 2 hours tutoring someone for $25 an hour. That's $50 in a day. Done. Over the course of a month, those small efforts could add hundreds to your savings. The trick is consistency. Once you start seeing the results, it'll motivate you to keep going. And here's the best part. With this extra income, you're not just saving faster, you're building a financial cushion that gives you real peace of mind. But there's one final piece to this puzzle: knowing when and how to use that emergency fund so you're not dipping into it unnecessarily. Stick around, because that's what we're diving into next. You've done the hard work, automating your savings, cutting back on hidden expenses, and even finding ways to boost your income. At this point, your emergency fund is starting to take shape. But here's the big question. When the time comes, how do you actually use it? And just as importantly, how do you make sure you don't dip into it for the wrong reasons? This is where most people get tripped up. You've built this safety net, but life throws all kinds of situations at you. Some real emergencies, others not so much. How do you tell the difference? And how do you avoid the guilt of using the money you worked so hard to save? Imagine this. Your car suddenly breaks down and the repair bill is $800. That's a clear emergency, right? But then what about that flight to visit family that you really want to take? Or the sale on the laptop you've been eyeing for months? They might feel urgent, but are they truly worth dipping into your emergency fund? It's a tough call, especially in the moment. Here's the golden rule. Your emergency fund is for unexpected and unavoidable expenses. Car repairs, medical bills, job loss. These are the situations it's designed for. If it's something you can plan for, like holidays or a new gadget, it's better to set up a separate savings account. That way, your emergency fund stays untouched until it's absolutely needed. When you do have to use it, the key is to act quickly and decisively. Don't let the stress of the situation paralyze you. That's what your fund is for, to give you the peace of mind to handle the unexpected without panic. And once the emergency is over, make a plan to rebuild your fund right away, even if it's just small contributions at first. And there you have it, your step-by-step guide to building an emergency fund that actually works for you. But remember, this is just the beginning. The real magic happens when you start putting these strategies into action and watch your financial safety net grow. If you found this helpful and want more tips on taking control of your money, hit that subscribe button and join our community.